Welcome, YouTube family. Give me just a moment. Sorry, guys. Sorry. My apologies, fam. Trying to botch the setup. So. Welcome. How's everyone doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Friday. I see one person alive so far. How you doing? All right. Give me just a second, guys. Let me get my glasses. Welcome. How you guys doing? Welcome. How you guys doing? Welcome to the live again. Thank you for joining. I see I got 2 people in here. Just waiting for a couple more people to get started. Welcome to another episode, 2A Gun Talk. What's up? A little lemon juice. Ooh, I just felt it right in here, just saying that word. What's up? Goof VR. Thank you for joining the live. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Another episode, man. If you guys haven't checked out the previous episode, check out episode 1 through 6. This is episode 7. And see a lot more people joining, and thank you guys for joining. Welcome to the live. Thank you. I don't do lives just to do them just to get views. I do them to educate. So this is called 2A Gun Talk. Just in case you don't know what this is about the 2A movement. What's up? Azaraf, I'm sorry, I don't know if I mispronounced your name. What's up? Welcome. Appreciate you. Thank you, man. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the staying in here with me. I appreciate you, guys. Justin Thomas, thank you. You look like a Mexican. Nah, I'm Jamaican, man. I don't know where you get that from, but okay, I'll take it. Chris Watts, 972. How many fans do you? What do I own? Let me see what you're saying, Chris. Let me see what you're saying. I'm looking at my phone, so. Bob Straight says he needs help. What do you need help with, Bob? Talk to me. Let me see if it's something that I can suggest. Please say my name, Amir L. Johnson. Welcome to the live, Amir. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I appreciate everyone that joins. Amir Johnson. See, I said it. I said it. All right. Appreciate everyone jumping on the live. Thank you. Happy Friday. I'm just getting a little set up right now, guys. Give me 1 second. I got you guys. All right. Do you deal with guns? I don't understand. Bro is John Wick. They call me Black Wick. Yeah, that was corny as hell, man. My apologies, guys. I don't mean to be a cornball, man. So if you've been in this live before, you guys, can you say 67? Marmite Plays 123, welcome. Bob Street, welcome. Depression and Anxiety and TBI. Is that what you're going through? Sir, you know Tupac Shakur? No, I do not know Tupac Shakur. But I know this hairstyle made me look kind of like Tupac without the money or the fame or the notoriety. But no, I do not know Tupac, my friend. Uh, Daily Symbols says Bounty Hunter. No, I'm not a bounty hunter, not at all. Anyway, so before we get started, guys, disclaimer. First and foremost, guys, this channel does not promote any form of violence whatsoever. We do not condone it. Just want to put that as a disclaimer. We are about peace. Yes, I'm a conservative. I am a 2A advocate. Well, obviously, for these, I live in the state of Florida, and I love to shoot. I love to go to the shooting range. I love to go hunting. I just love to teach other people how to shoot. It's very therapeutic for me, actually, and it's always good to bring people over to the 2A community and show them that firearms are not dangerous. It's just the hands that you put them into, or the hands that they fall into. If anyone here has any kind of mental issues, and definitely, if you need to seek help, that's something I do recommend. Firearms, mental health, and alcohol does not go together, guys. So, big disclaimer I want to make. And again, I want to thank you guys for joining the live. Before I start on my points, I always like to go and interact with the viewers. I don't know if a lot of people like to do that, but I like to. I just like to. If you guys have any questions about any firearms, anything about today's topic today, obviously we're talking about firearm maintenance, and I have quite a few here. So that's pretty much what we're going to get into. Justin says, anybody is armed in Idaho. Everybody's armed in Idaho, and that's why I know that's what this is one of the safest states. I agree with you, Justin, 1,000%, man. I feel like the more armed a society is, I think the safer it will be, because if you know that there's multiple firearms on the end of that door, you're less likely to try to kick it down. I absolutely agree. Don't you guys notice that all the cowards that go out and take the lives of school children or any kind of mass shooting whatsoever, they never go to a police station and do it. They never go to the local military base. They never go to the local shooting range and do it. You can make a statement if you go to a shooting range and if you're a crazy person and then you're successful, but they never take on the challenge. They always choose innocent people, people that they know are never going to actually, defend themselves. So they take that route. Even what shout out to Charlie Kirk. It's so sad what happened to Charlie, and I hope that never happened to anybody who gives their opinion for whatever the case might be. Obviously, the shooter from President Trump's attempted assassination to Charlie Kirk's assassination. What they did, they hid and ran. You know what I mean? Or well, the one with President Trump, he tried to run. You know what I mean? So we don't promote any kind of violence whatsoever. I wish we lived in a world where you could express yourself, say whatever you want, and you never have to lose your life for it. And that's kind of the aim. And the reason why I do this is to educate people that, hey, listen, guns are not terrible. Guns are just a tool, just like a knife is not terrible on its own. Your car is not terrible on its own. But when you drink alcohol and get behind the wheel, then it's a missile. A knife just sits there. But when you're angry and you're intoxicated or you're fueled by rage, then that knife becomes a tool of destruction. It's the same thing with a firearm. It's just a tool. It can be used for many things. It's used to defend your homestead, recreational, put food on your table. It can be useful as an evil device. It can be used for a deterrent. It can be used for a great device. It's a tool. Back in the days, even when they had any kind of holy war, they used knives and spears. And if they had the technology to use guns, they would have used it. And it's just what it is. It's just a tool, and that's kind of what I want the community that I'm reaching out to see, that it's a tool. It's not this evil black rifle that just gets up on its own and just goes on a rampage. It doesn't really work like that. All right. The man they caught couldn't even hit lift the rifle, yet alone carry it for miles. And these are the people that go out and do these kinds of things. These people, half of them, they do a little bit of training just to get the job done, but they really aren't a part of the 2A community. And then they give us a bad name. And then all the liberals and the Democrats, they come and they'll use the gun, the fact that that person used the gun, and try to use it against, conservatives or the two-way movement to try to get guns to be banned. And when they should really look into the person that used that gun and what kind of mental issues that person has. I was watching a video on YouTube the other day where I saw where somebody, I think there was a congressional hearing, and one of the senators was saying that pretty much all the shootings that have taken place has been by a Democrat, a liberal, or a Democrat liberal, and he was just going on and on and on and on and on about all these different evil activities that took place, and all of them were done by a liberal or a Democrat. You know, so it's a left, a liberal, or a Democrat, and I have nothing against Democrats or liberals or whatever. We all are should be able to say whatever you want without having some kind of super dire consequences. But at the same time, it's always that side that's always saying they're for peace, but then they always cause strife. And I think it's kind of my job, since I'm in the community, to kind of help people who watch my channel, especially since I'm always posting videos of me at a range shooting, or cleaning a gun or reviewing a gun. I don't do as much as I should, but I still try to give back to the community. And this is the way how I do it, is by so if you guys go back and watch episode 1 through 6, I have some great points there. Same thing like I'm interacting with you guys right now. I interact with the guests first, and then I get into my points. And hopefully, if you learned something from today's interaction, guys, you will feel free to, reward the channel with a like, a subscription, or, sharing the video to someone who you think it might help. If you think I made some good points, and you can use that to share with someone else. Or if you really want to support the channel, you can actually give a donation. I don't have a Patreon. I'm not here to, try to, is this a Democrat? No, I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm not here to try to swindle money from you. I'm not one of these black pastors, or I'm not Colin Noor, or one of these super rich, YouTube gun channels that's here to review every firearm and like everything and come to the masses and tell them about how wonderful everything is, when we know that the mass of people can't really afford the type of guns that they promote. I like Colin Noor and a lot of these channels, but they've gotten to a point where they don't tell you the truth anymore. It seems like they're telling you the truth, but they don't. They get guns sent to them every day. They like every single gun they come across, and they think you should spend, $5,000 on a gun. That's just ridiculous to me. I'll never tell anybody to do that unless they can afford it. If you're a millionaire, you have that kind of money at your disposal, then absolutely. But I would never tell anybody to go buy a $5,000 1911 when you can go buy a Glock 19, get a Radian Ramjet, and you can have that thing shooting nice and smooth, and you can still defend your family homestead with that. But that's for another topic, guys. I'm going to do a topic on different YouTube channels that I watch and why I like them, and some that I stay away and why I stay away from them. Or maybe not, because I don't want to, ruffle any feathers, really. All right, guys. RDB at RDB is pretty nice. I've never had a problem with this. Says Keltec. A lot of people badmouth Keltec, man, but I love Keltec. Keltec, Palmetto State Armory. Listen, guys, for the technology that modern weapons, for the technology that modern weaponry has, a lot of people say, oh, this gun is low end and that gun is low end. Listen, most of the guns that even made by the lower end companies nowadays are better than what they used to use in the Vietnam War. They're better than what's used in World War II or World War I, or whatever the case might be. And the average Joe every day is not shooting any firearm, any rifle that much to where they can really wreck a firearm. So I say whatever your pocket can afford, that's the best firearm for you. If you want to, get a low-end firearm, you can. But if you want to save up a little bit more, then go to Palmetto State Armory. They got that lifetime warranty. And, yeah, somebody just say, Wolfie just said, in Australia, no legal firearms and knife. I know they were burning mountains of firearms and stuff. So I'm so sorry that you have to go through that, Wolfie. My bad. Do you have, you do have some nice rifles, my man. Thank you very much. I appreciate Eric Petty. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. Hey, guys, any positive comments, man? I appreciate you guys, man. All right, so without further ado, I talked for a little while. So before I start, anybody want any shout out? I like to do that, man, because I've been on channels before where, I think I've been on live with, I don't remember who I'd been in, and then they shout me out. We had a conversation, go back and forth. It felt good to be recognized, man. So anybody want to shout out before I get it? Thank you, man. Wiley Lee Rogers, my bad. I don't want to butcher your name, man. Thanks for the shout out. I appreciate you, man. Yes, it does suck. My man says, Pete, Piss Ass says, I hope I'm on the right side here, and it sucks that being armed is associated with a specific right wing ideology instead of acknowledge we are like the guns of America. That is absolutely right, man. I think a lot of people who see people like myself or like you, Piss Ass, where you have multiple guns and they see us as lunatics, but yet still most of the shooting, and I'm talking people on the right. Most of the people that commit these atrocities against our fellow Americans are on the other side. But it's one of the things that we're burdened with, and it is what it is. We lead them to their own demise sometimes, and we're gonna be the bigger party, and not retaliate with violence because that's what they want us to do. They want us to retaliate with violence, and then that's just not how we do it here. We're going to use our work like Charlie Kirk did. We're going to continually do that. And when we do advocate, we only advocate to use firearms for self-defense. Unless you are pushed in the corner, I do not advocate violence with firearms. It's just what it is. I'm not one of these so-called YNs who's going to tell you to go get a switch and get busy and this. No, that's the left will do that. We won't do that. We're gonna take the high road here. And that's just kind of how it is. All right, guys. So with that said, I appreciate that. I saw that comment. Guys, you just saw my man Piss Ass said, I swear I'm not a troll. I'm actually relieved as someone who's finding other people who like guns that aren't automatically the worst of the worst uneducated nuts. Yeah, just for a little bit of background, I'm from Jamaica originally. I am an immigrant and I came through the system the right way. I paid my dues. I've been paying taxes, man, for as long as I can remember. I don't get no free housing. I have two properties. My car is paid off. I have two motorcycles. I abide by the law. I don't get into any trouble. I've worked as a correctional captain before. I have a master's in political science, criminal justice, and history. That was my master's. I'm in the medical field right now. So, I'm not one of these guys that goes around and just acts stupid and telling you to get a switch. I don't even want to have a firearm with a Glock switch on it because I don't want to break any of the rules and I don't want anybody to think that that's the way to go. That's just not the way to go. If you're gonna get something that accelerate the rate at which your firearm can shoot, you can get the FRT trigger, which is legal. And I would definitely push to go that way because I do want to have one just for shooting, just for fun. I'm looking to get an FRT trigger to put into maybe a 1022 or a Taurus TX22. I think that's a perfect platform. A 22 pistol is perfect for that. It handles the recoil a little bit more, a little bit better than if you were to use a 9mm 40 or 45, or put it in maybe one of my carbines, my PCCs, which is like I have the Chris Vector here, I have the Grand Power Strybog, I have the CZ Scorpion, I have the PSA, the Palmetto State Army AR9. I have multiple other firearms that I could use that on. So, but in that case, again, like I said, we don't promote any kind of violence over here. We don't promote any kind of breaking of the law, and that's just kind of how it is. You kind of want to lead by example. All right. So, anyways, guys, like I said, guys, if you guys want to support the channel, a simple like works amazing. Subscribing is even better. Sharing the video just as good. And if you guys also want, man, a monetary donation is always welcome. Your money's not going into my pocket to pay for food or anything. Anything I use that to is towards buying camera equipment or ammo so I can go to the range. I'm not sponsored by any channel. I'm just a local guy. I'm just like a little guy doing it. So if you guys want to help out that way, greatly appreciate it. All right, guys. So I am from Jamaica. Kingston is one of the most dangerous places in the world, and as a kid, I experienced that a lot. And I'm glad that my mother reined me in before I got too far away into that world. And I'm one of the lucky ones, man, that can say, man, I was taken out of that system before I got terrible, and I had the potential to be a terrible, terrible person, in terms of like an environment that I was brought up in. It was so easy to be influenced as a young man when you see all these, grown men around you and you think, and you look at them as a father figure. Some of them you grew up with as friends and you just want to follow them because you didn't know any better. But I'm glad that my mom took me and she really showed me, hey, there's a better way. I started learning track and field. I was good at it. I got a scholarship to the University of Miami, competed for professionally for a little while, and then went from there. But anyway, guys, let's get into the points, guys. I just want to get these points out, and then we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Let's so the points. So again, today's topic we're talking about is obviously got my little note here. So today's topic we're talking about firearm maintenance. All right. So why is firearm maintenance important? Simply because if you are a firearms owner, obviously it's just something you should do. Or obviously, if you're carrying a firearm, you want to make sure the tool that you have is ready when you need it. Firearm maintenance is should be a great priority for anybody who owns a firearm. If you're going to defend your homestead, your family, or whatever the case might be, hunting, you don't want to have a buffalo, in your sights. And then when you go to pull the trigger to get that meal or that food to feed your family, the gun jams, or it's rusted up, or it doesn't fire, or it fails to go into battery, or fail to eject that round and put another round in the chamber. You want to be able to know that when you need this tool to work, it works all the time. And that's why firearm maintenance is of the utmost importance. All right. So the first point we're gonna talk about here today that I wrote down is safety beyond the range. That's my point. That's the first point. All right. A neglected firearm isn't I'm sorry. Neglecting a neglected firearm isn't just unreliable. All right. It can become dangerous to the user. If you have a firearm that you don't clean, that you don't maintain, if you get in a certain situation where you have to defend yourself, it could be the difference between saving your family lives, your life and your own, and getting put through the ringer, you or your family. So you want to make sure that firearm is clean. You want to make sure, maintenance is a part of responsible ownership and not just shooting skill. If you own a firearm, you should know what comes with that. You have to maintain the firearm to take it to the range so it can perform. To when you need it to perform, it is going to perform. So you definitely have to make sure your firearm is maintained. So when you need it to go, it's go, and it's safe for everybody who's able to use that firearm to use it. All right. So the next point I want to make is that reliability equals responsibility. All right. So a firearm is only as dependable as the care you give it, which makes sense. If you don't put any care into that firearm, if you buy a firearm for self-defense and you don't take it to the range and put that 300-400 rounds to it, if you don't clean it and, you just have it sitting in your safe and it's gathering dust and it's rusting, when you are ready to use it, guys, it's not going to go bang. It's not going to save your life. It's not going to put food on the table. It's not going to keep the bad guys away. It's just what it is. All right. In a defensive scenario, a dirty or poorly maintained firearms can mean malfunction at the worst possible time. So that means if you don't maintain that, and if you keep that firearm in the safe or wherever you might keep that, it start rusting, and it start, that friction zone where it should be smooth is filled with rust and just cakes up and locks in. When you take it up and put it in your waist and you say you're going down the street to do whatever you want to do, and then you really need that thing and it don't go off, then honestly, you're the one to be blamed, because that has to be oiled. That has to be, especially if it's something that you carry every day, something you keep by your bed. If you're going to take it to the range and have somebody else oil it, you want to be responsible enough to know that, hey, if I want it to go bang, it's going to go bang. All right. So that's the second point. So the third point I want to make is that respect for the tool. That's what it is. A firearm is something that is very dangerous, and even in maintenance, you got to respect that thing. You got to know at some point in time, you might be cleaning it and it can go off accidentally. You might be distracted, put your finger in the thing and it can go off. So respect the tool. Regular maintenance also shows respect for the firearm as a precision instrument. You know that for this thing to work, you have to maintain it. So show respect to that tool. Know that's what it does. And if you don't play your part, it won't play its part. All right. Treating it casually or neglectfully reflects on the owner's mindset. So if you just have your gun and you throw it down, you clean it every other year, it just shows you the kind of mindset you are. You're not ready to be a firearm owner because you're not thinking safety. You're not thinking of how you really want it to be when you're ready to use it. So you want to actually definitely have respect for the tool. All right. And then so you have to treat it accordingly. All right. So next point is longevity and legacy. Proper care preserve the firearm for decades, even generations. All right. So well-maintained firearms can be heirlooms. Poorly maintained ones often die with their first owner. So the point of that, all that means is if you have a firearm, for instance, my first 22 pistol is the Ruger Mark III 2245, right? It's a heavy barrel, 5.5 inch bull barrel. It is a tack driver. I bought that thing almost 10, 15 years ago, and I love it. I maintain it. It's a great shooter. I don't even put a red dot on it because it's so accurate by itself. You know what I mean? So if I want to pass that down to my child, I do have to maintain it. If I wanted this to be an heirloom that I pass down to my son or my daughter, and maybe they can pass it down to their children, you got to maintain it. If you just leave it and you don't use it, you don't clean it, that carbon buildup, it just gets rust. You don't oil it down. You don't check, you don't clean the bore. Then it just sits there, rust away. And after a while, you either want to sell it, you don't want to see it, you don't want to deal with it, and it's not something you can pass along. All right. So Piss Ass said he has to go, man. But I appreciate having you, Piss Ass. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Ma Joe, yes, they're all BBs. Yeah. Yes, they're all BBs. Anyways, yes, so you wanna, maintaining your gun keeps that longevity of the firearm, and if you maintain a gun that you really like, you can have it as a legacy, something you can pass down to your kids. All right, so the next one I want to make is hidden lessons in discipline. Maintenance is tedious for some, but it teaches patience, consistency, and attention to detail. Qualities that carry over into life's handling. If you are meticulous about maintaining your firearms, you're cleaning it, you create a good habit. It's something that you need to do, so you constantly do it. And if you're somebody that's meticulous and take time and care into doing something that you love to do, especially the maintenance of a firearm that can save your life, you're going to be the same type of person in your life. You're going to take more meticulous steps with everything you do in your life. You're not just going to be I'm just going to let it in. I'm just going to do this one day. No, it doesn't work like that. So it carries over into your personal life, and it shows the type of person you are. And it shows that you have discipline to maintain that firearm. You have discipline to maintain relationships. You have discipline to keep your house clean. You have discipline to follow through when you're supposed to. All right. So next point I made here is clean gun, clear mind. All right. So some shooters find cleaning their firearms therapeutic, a way to reflect and reset. Maintenance can be seen as part of ritual, not a chore. Now, if you're into firearms, guys, and you have multiple firearms like I do, a lot of times you have to clean them. Sometimes you're in a relationship, you're in a certain situation, you have things on your mind. Cleaning a firearm can be therapeutic. When I go into the room and I start breaking down my motorcycle, or I start breaking down, my firearm and start cleaning it, I don't think about the issues that I'm going through. I just go and I just start I start cleaning, I start get into it. And on my workstation, I have like a little TV there. I turn on YouTube, I'm listening to YouTube, I'm cleaning my firearm, I'm watching other videos of other people cleaning firearms. It just puts me in a different spot. I might be with a girl and we might be just talking, go through whatever. And that's how I escape and go into my world and just disappear from disappear from that scenario. Or if I have something on my mind and I can't clear it out of my head, sometimes when I go and I clean I put down 4 firearms and I'm like, yo, it's cleaning time. I got all my tools, you got everything set up. You got your little white cloth where you want to see the backdrop where you put every piece. You got your rem oil, you got all your cleaning strips, your bore cleaners, your whole dirty black rag that you use to clean up. It is a therapeutic thing. It really is, guys. You know what I mean? So just like girls go do their nails, for me, my nails are gonna come black and dirty and full of soot, but that's therapeutic for me. So for me, and once I know that I've cleaned my firearms, it makes me a little bit more confident when I go out. And then I know if I get into a situation, that's one less thing I have to worry about. My firearms being dirty, rusted, not gonna perform if I wanted to. So, that's a great point. All right, so the next point number 7 is small issues become big problems. That's a huge point, guys. All right, so rust, carbon buildup, or worn springs start small but can lead to catastrophic failure if ignored. Maintenance is about prevention, not repair. All right, guys, if you have a firearm, if you have magazines that you just leave in a magazine the whole time, you're not constantly depressing and have that spring go by. When you put it in your firearm, guys, there's a possibility it might not work. You might have weakened that spring to where it can push those rounds, okay, up that magazines and into the chamber so it can defend your life or your own city, your family. So maintenance is utmost important. The small things, those springs that you don't constantly maintain, those springs in the guns that you don't constantly move around and keep them malleable and flexible, those burrs that are created in between the firearm, the different moving parts, because when you get a firearm, it's like a brand new whatever. Sometimes from the factory, everything is new and it's hard and it rubs together. And the more you use it, the more it smooths out all those burrs and make the firearm move even better. So that's why they tell you when you take your firearms to the range, you need to put about 300-400 rounds because of those little rough edges. It breaks in the firearm. It makes it smoother to the point where everything just moves nice and smooth and how it's supposed to work. Just like I tell you, sometime when you drive your car, you have to go over 100 miles sometime to burn out all those impurities in the engines because you open up all the throttles. You know what I mean? Sometimes you let out all impurities. Sometimes you get things that normally don't turn from those slow everyday drives, and you get them up and bam, 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 and it's good to go. So it's the same thing with firearms, guys. If you maintain it and you keep those little things like rust, carbon buildup, worn springs, if you keep those things either changed out or replaced or whatever, then definitely that your tool is going to work when you need it. All right. So the next point I came up with is you want to trust. It's trust and confidence. All right. A firearm you've maintained personally is one you can trust. Peace of mind is knowing every part is inspected, lubricated, and ready. So that's pretty much self-explanatory, guys. If you maintain your firearm, you can trust that firearm. I oiled everything. I put it back together properly. That I've been maintaining it. I clean out all the rust. All the carbon buildup. Springs are good. Everything is great. You spend time with that farm so that when you're ready, it's good to go. It gives you that peace of mind to know that every part's been inspected, everything is lubricated, it is ready to go. Plain and simple. That's it. All right. So point number 9, out of sight, out of mind. The out of sight, out of mind trap. Firearms stored long term without maintenance can degrade silently. That is huge, guys. If you have a firearm in the safe that you don't ever use, you don't maintain it, it can literally break apart. It literally can rust to nothing. Remember, most firearms are made of metal and plastic. Some of those plastic can last generations without degrading. Metal, on the other end, is not the same. Moisture and air creates rust. And if there's moisture in here, it's going to rust. I've had guns that I'm made by the best companies in the world. I've had firearms that I haven't fired for like probably years. And I go back, everything is rusted up. I said, what the hell? I've had a firearm from Beretta. My bird had an M9. I started seeing rust on it. I'm like, bro, what the hell? Because it was sitting in the safe and I didn't do anything to it. I had to start rubbing it down, and somehow I might even take off some of the bluing off of it. You know what I mean? So think about that, guys. That out of sight, out of mind trap. Don't let people tell you that. You need to take them things, use them. Even if you take it to the range and use it for a day, oil it up and put it back in. That's good enough sometimes. All right. So like I said, regular checkups matter even more than firearms that spend more time in a safe than on the range. So you have to check up on those firearms. All right. So the last point I want to make is that ethical responsibility. If you own a tool capable of deadly force, guys, you have an ethical obligation to ensure it functions safely and reliably. Maintenance is part of the moral duty you have, just like safe storage and training. Just like how you have to train with that firearm, just like how you have to store it properly. Maintenance is just as important, guys. I don't know how to explain that anymore. You should just have to maintain your farm. That's what it is. You know what I mean? So and that's pretty much my points for today. If hope you guys got something out of it. I just want to impart my knowledge. So to go over quickly go over those points real quick before I get back into the chat with you guys is, so number one, so we're talking about firearm maintenance. For anyone who I'm sorry, guys. I just had to check a message. So for anyone who owns a firearm, and you want to maintain your firearms, these are some key points you guys want to keep in mind. Safety beyond the range, guys. All right. Don't neglect your farm. You got a neglected farm isn't just unreliable. All right. It can become dangerous to the user. All right. Reliability equals responsibility. Firearms only as dependable as the care it receives. All right. Number three, we want to respect for the tool. Regular maintenance all shows respect for the firearm as a precision instrument. Longevity and legacy. All right, proper care preserve the firearm for decades, even generations. You can pass this down as an heirloom, all right, to your family. All right, number five, hidden lessons in discipline. Maintenance is tedious for some, but it teaches patience, consistency, and attendance to detail. Qualities that can carry over into your everyday life. All right. Point number six I made today. Clean gun, clear mind. Some shooters find cleaning their firearms therapeutic, a way to reflect and reset. Sometimes, just doing that thing just kind of clears your mind, take your mind out of the everyday and put it into something that you actually like to do. Small issues become big problems, meaning, rust, carbon buildup, worn springs, small parts can lead to catastrophic failure if ignored. That's just self-explanatory. Trust and confidence. A firearm you've maintained personally is one you can trust. If you maintain that firearm, just like if you maintain your motorcycle, your car, you check your tire pressure. You know that you drive with that confidence. How do you feel when you drive in a car where you know the tire is flat and you know it's gonna rain? Your butt cheeks are clenched all day because you're like, man, I can't go too far and I can't slam on my brakes because I might get into an accident. It's the same thing with a firearm. It's well maintained. It gives you a sense of, okay, yeah, I got this. Out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, foolishness. Just because your firearm is in a safe don't mean that it's safe to go grab it later. Sitting in a safe can, give it rust, wear down parts you don't even know about, and you don't want to just take it out of safe and go, whatever. And then you didn't know something while it was sitting in the safe, it was rusting, it wasn't firing anymore, something degraded. So definitely out of sight, out of mind trap, don't fall into it. Ethical responsibility as a firearms owner, you should know that you have the responsibility to make sure that that thing is safe, and cleaning is one of the closer way you can get to safety. All right. If you own a tool capable of deadly force, you have an ethical obligation to ensure that it functions safely and reliably. If you go out into the world, right, and you get in a scenario where, you get in a position where you might have to defend your life or defend the life of someone who's being encroached upon or getting hurt, then it's your responsibility to make sure that if you put yourself in the fight, that that thing is working. You don't want to pull out of firearms and yours is not working and his is working. Then you and whoever you're trying to defend, your family, friends, loved ones, whoever, you're in trouble. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's my point for today, guys. And I just came in. I just kind of wanted to do episode 7. I appreciate you guys, and you guys have any questions for me? I'm here. I'll give another maybe 10, 15 minutes, take some questions, and then I'm out of here, guys. What's my best weapon? DA says, what's my best weapon? My best weapon, for me, it's a 308. It's my SOCOM 16308 from Springfield Army. My favorite calibers is 22, 308, 9mm, in that order. Yes, that's my favorite caliber. So yeah. So what else? Any other question? Itesh Shahu said hi. Hello. How you doing, Itesh? Any other questions to me? Anything about today's topic or any other questions you guys might have for me before I go? Today was just a short one. I'm actually heading to the gym right after this so I can get my swole on so I can look like you guys. You know what I mean? So, what are the questions you guys have for me, guys? Let me hear it before I take off. Come on now, speak up. So if you guys haven't seen the first 6 episodes, guys, go check those out. Some great points right there to help you. I've talked about home defense, concealed carry, introducing new shooters. There's a bunch of topics I talked about. This is episode 7. So whether any other questions before I go? Come on, guys. Let me get that question, man. Let me get it. All right. So Mac7 says, I want to learn how to shoot, but I'm a little nervous about picking an instructor. Any advice? Personally, what I would do is see if anybody you know personally, because you might know people at Firearm and you just don't know that they have Firearm. Put it out there, and somebody who might already own a firearm, who've owned it for years, they might be the one who can show that to you. But there's a lot of reputable places. You might get overcharged. You might not get overcharged. But if you're sometimes even your local range, if you go there, they have people that will leave cards. It will say if you need firearm training, call them. So that's what I would do. I would find a local range, just stop by there and say, hey, I'm looking for firearms training. Sometimes the range officers themselves have certificate that they can teach you how to shoot firearms, and they'll help you in that process. But first, I would see if anybody that I know personally has a firearm, and then I would ask them to show it to me. And and then I would go to my local shooting range and just talk to somebody there. Sometimes when you go to the office, they have those little things where people leave their cards. You can pick up one of those, or just ask, hey, listen, I need some firearm training. Do you know any reputable person I can use? That's how I would approach that. And listen, there's nothing to be nervous about, man. If you get the right if you get the right trainer, you'll be fine. I remember when I first was teaching my ex-wife how to shoot, she was so nervous to the point where when we actually got to the range, she's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I said, it's too late. And then by the end of the day, she was telling me, that one is mine, this one is mine, that one is mine, I'm going to get this, so don't be nervous, man. Like I said, the firearm is a dangerous tool, but if you have the right trainer, somebody to teach you right, it goes away. Every word he says, every task he helps you with, or him or her help you with, it gets a lot easier. I think everybody has that fear of firearm until they actually experience it, and then it's like they fall in love. They can't have enough. They want to have every gun. All right, so Rachel 420, gun safety is no joke. Absolutely right, Rachel. That's me. I'm scared of guns, not against them, just scared of them. So Rachel, anything can be a terrible tool, Rachel. It's like I said earlier in the live, it's just the people that wield them. Majority of shootings you see are wielded by leftists and Democrats and sick people. You rarely find someone like myself who advocates, the two-way movement, or someone deep into the two-way community that do foolishness like this. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of getting educated on it. A lot of people will watch the news and never watch the congressional hearings, and then they get the little excerpts from NBC, MSNBC, Fox, wherever, and then they get a certain point, and then they run within their head. They hear a soundbite on their way to work, and in their head, that's what they believe. That's why I'm the type of guy, I like to watch the news. I watch the congressional hearings, and I watch everything live so I can hear directly what was said, and not what's told to me by whoever wants to spin the news their way. But firearms is a little scary at first, but like with think of anything that you've in your life that you've been scared to try, and then you try and you're like, oh man, it's not that bad. That's kind of what are you going to come away with the firearm. It's a dangerous tool, and if you don't know what you can do, you can hurt yourself or hurt someone else. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you take the time out to watch videos about it, go to a shooting range one day. It might cost you a pretty penny, but go to it. Just challenge yourself. One day, say, "Hey, I'm just gonna go to a shooting range." Rent one of the gun. Ask one of the instructor. I've never fired a gun before. I want to know how to use it. And just tell them you want to use like a 9mm, and if they can stay there with you and watch you, or help you through it, and I promise you will come away with a better understanding of firearms. I promise. Yes, so it's the crazy people that I've gone. And Rachel, you can't really go around. That's like saying, I'm not gonna drive today because of the crazy people that are around me. You can't think like that. If it's your day, it's your day. I don't. If you walk around like that, your cortisol level is gonna go through the roof, man. You just gotta take life easy. Try to open up your mind and try to. Me, I'm always open to anything new. I'm willing to learn anything. I will skydive. I will bungee jump. I will go hunt a elephant. No, maybe I wouldn't go hunt an elephant. No, I wouldn't do that. But I'm open for anything. If it changes my mind, it does. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. It is kind of how I. That's kind of how I live my life. I'm willing to try anything, man. I've always been like that, and I think I'd always be like that, anyways. You know what I mean? So, all right. No, don't say that. You can't be like that, Rachel. Can't be like that, man. You got to face your fears, my love. You got to face your fears. I want you to face your fears. Say to yourself, hey, I'm going to face my fears. Maybe try what I said. Go to a shooting range. Just challenge, just treat yourself one day. Hey, I'm going to go to a shooting range one day. I'm going to ask them, hey, I've never shot a gun before. I want to learn how to, shoot, and handle a firearm, and what can you show me? And there are people who will give you a lot of information for free. You know what I mean? So try it. Better learn now than be forced to learn quickly. That is true. You know what I mean? That is true. You don't want to. I would rather have the skill and not have to use it than want the skill and don't have it. I know how to drive a tractor trailer because I've driven one before. I know how to drive stick. I know how to ride a motorcycle. I know how to build an AR-15. I can break down. There's a lot of stuff that I know how to do that, just in my spare time, I decide, I want to learn how to do this. I tried to learn how to crochet, but my hands are too retarded. You know what I mean? So I just you try to expand your mind. So give it a shot, man. She says she's from Canada. Uh-oh. Rachel, you should have started with that, man. Canada. Come on now, girl. Oh, well, Canada has some restrictions, right? But you can still have a firearm, right? Right or wrong? I'm not quite sure. But shout outs to Rachel, though. I see her trying to, expand her horizons. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys. I think I'm gonna call it quits right there for the day. Go get my gym on. And then that's gonna be the episode for the day, man. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Hope you guys got something out of the live today and the vlog. I'm sorry, guys. If you did, guys, feel free to like, subscribe, share the video. If you want to give a monetary donation, I wouldn't be mad at you at all. You know what I mean? Thank you very much, Wolfie. I appreciate you, man. So this was episode 7, episode 8. I don't know what topic I'm going to talk about. There's so much I can talk about. So I'm going to look into the next topic, and then we're going to come back and do it again. Sometimes it depends on the type of day, the time of day that I do the live. We have a lot more people, sometimes a lot less. I think most people are at work, but today it just came into me to make this live today. And whether I have 1,600 viewers or 5 viewers, if I can reach out to someone and give them a little bit more understanding of the two-way community and firearms and firearm safety, then I did something good. I don't care. If I only have 7, I have 7. If I have 9, I have 9. I don't care. I don't go by. I do it because I like to do it. And with that said, guys, much obliged. Thank you guys for joining the live. If you guys want to support the channel, like, subscribe, share. If you want to do a monetary donation, greatly appreciated. But just liking the videos, is more than thanks for me. With that said, guys, Mr. Black Mamba 305, episode 7, and we out. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.